Greetings. Today we continue in the third part of the third section, the Gimel section, verses 17 through 24 of Psalm 119. Hebrews 11 has a discussion concerning Moses' life choices, and it is illustrative of this concept. Hebrews 11:23 says, "By faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment." By faith Moses, when he was come to years, you might note the connection between the faith of the parents and the faith of the child, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Now, I've heard people preach that God's children can enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. It's not possible. This verse seems to indicate that Moses could have done that if that was his choice. But verse 26 goes on to say, "Esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward." In other words, Moses looked, he said, if I become the Pharaoh of Egypt, material, I have these advantages, but it will cost me these things spiritually. And if I give up these material things in Egypt, I can be advantaged these spiritual things eternally. So he made the right choice. 2 Corinthians 4:18 admonishes us, "While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal," they're temporary, "but the things which are not seen are eternal." We need constant reminders every day to keep our focus upon the eternal over the temporal priorities of life. So Psalm 119 verse 20 says, "My soul breaketh for the longing that it hath upon thy judgments at all times." This is the verse which gives us the subtitle of the message, "The Longings of the Soul." In verse 31 that we'll come to, in Psalm 119, he says, "I have opened my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments." In Psalm 63 verse 1, that is said to be a psalm of David when he was in the wilderness of Judea, he says, "O God, thou art my God, early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is." In the 42nd Psalm, it says, "As the hart, as the deer panteth after the water brook, so panteth my soul after thee, O God. My soul thirsteth for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God?" In the 84th Psalm in verse 2, he says, "My soul longeth, yea, even fainteth, for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh crieth out for the living God." In verse 40 of this 119th Psalm, he says, "Behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness." The lost man has this longing, but he has not been enlightened as to what he's really desiring. That is a restored relationship or fellowship with God. The saved man can backslide from the status of first love once enjoyed. Backslide is the common term we use for this sliding back. And we should note that this is the symptom of the problem, the lack of longing for God. Failure to thrive is a condition in young and old people which adversely affects physical health and even life itself. I think it's time that we acknowledge the negative effect of failure to thrive upon people spiritually also. Psalm 119 verse 21 says, "Thou hast rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from thy commandments. How much of God's word is devoted to recording the erring of mankind from the precepts of his word and his repeated, constant reproving of them through his word by sending them messengers.